How's everybody doing today? It's your boy here, Apollo from Down, Down, Up, Up, and today we've got a good one. Continuing the Christmas movie marathon review. Again, there's really no solid name for it. It's without a doubt my favorite Christmas special from the 50s, probably from the 1900s in general, featuring real people. I know that could be a controversial thing to bring up, but let's show it off, shall we? The Abbott and Costello Christmas special on the Colgate Comedy Hour. This one's always going to have a warm place in my heart because, believe it or not, this was the first time I ever saw Abbott and Costello. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Abbott and Costello, first of all, you don't know me very well. I appreciate so many of the great comedy teams from the era, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Laurel and Hardy, Three Stooges, but there just wasn't a team like Abbott and Costello. Two of the funniest human beings you could pair up together to create comedy gold, movie magic, and they were everywhere, dang it. They were everywhere. They were representations of everything in movies, from Army classics all the way to Universal horror movies even. They were paired up with Frankenstein's monster, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Mummy. They were in everything. And this was the first time I ever got to see them do their thing on a Christmas special of the Colgate Comedy Hour. Now, what's the Colgate Comedy Hour? I'm not the biggest historian on the show, but let's just say it's probably one of the best comedy shows from the 50s, probably late 40s, mid 50s, featuring all kinds of comedy gold, but with its fair share of advertising from Colgate. So we have our toothpastes, we have our shaving creams, we have our washing detergents, we have about everything fairly advertised on the shows, but getting together some of the best comedy legends, including Abbott and Costello, you're not going to go wrong sitting in front of your TV once a week to watch everything from A to Z in comedy gold. This show is hilarious. Abbott and Costello have one of their funniest skits of all time on this show, and I'd really just like to take my time and run down through this together. Now, how do we start? Let's just go in the back of the case. Celebrate the season with one of the most popular comedy duos of all time as they team up in this delightful Colgate Comedy Hour Christmas special. Splendidly restored and in color. That's a bonus of having this disc. Seeing this show in color is amazing for someone like me who's watched tons of their movies. I've only seen one of their movies in color, and that was Jack and the Beanstalk. They did another one, Abbott and Costello Meet Captain Kidd, but I haven't even seen the original. One day I'll get to that, but I need to watch the original first. But there's no shortage of Abbott and Costello. Abbott and Costello sing and dance, as well as perform their trademark comedy skits, also featuring a lot of other great acts during the time. Margaret Whiting, she was a great singer. She sings on the show for a bit. The Nicholas Brothers, amazing tap dancers. Buster Shaver and Olive, dance pair. Tom and Jerry, debatably dance acrobatic pair. And that's really what the show has to offer. So again, I just want to run through this and just enjoy the nonsense this show has to offer. If you're going to watch something different, I want to recommend this, but to the general public, I can't say I'd recommend this. You really just want to know what this time was about, sit down and reminiscence. That's what this does for me, being a fan of that era. So we have some singing, and I love that I'm putting this out on the 14th, by the way, because one of the opening songs, I believe, is 11 More Days Till Christmas. Classic. Some great original music in this too, mind you. But after the sing and dance star, we get to Abbott and Costello just walking downtown, and they need ideas to get Christmas presents going. So Bud checks in with Costello if he has any money, and they do their little skit on how much money he really doesn't have. Like in the neighborhood, he's got about $28, roughly speaking. When you smooth it out, I got $1. But then they come up with ways that they think they can sue someone to get money for Christmas. First, Bud suggests Lou getting hit with a car, and no, that's not going to happen. And then how about a punch to the nose? And they try at least 3 times to get him punched in the nose with people on the street. Sid Fields is in this for a good majority too, and he was one of their great side characters, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure he did a lot with them on Colgate. he must have been in at least one of their main movies. If not, that's really disappointing considering how much he did with them. I know he's in another one of the best Colgate specials I've seen. He's doing a skit with his kayfabe daughter and a Frankenstein monster. That's hilarious. Props if you remember that episode, if there are any Abbott and Costello fans here. But back to the show. For example, one instance is Costello's making fun of Sid's wife for wearing a ridiculous hat. It looks like Sid's about to punch him out, but then he agrees with him and claims his wife does have a stupid hat. Like I said, nothing's working. Until finally, we do get, you could say, a punch or a push, but unfortunately it's someone pushing Abbott into a window because they thought Abbott stole their Christmas package. Lou yucks it up. And unfortunately for Abbott, the abuse doesn't stop. He gets pushed through another window and the scene abruptly ends. And every scene has a filler of at least one ad break and another act on the show, whether, like I said, singing, dancing, acrobatics. It's just a lovely ride of nonsense. That's what this show had to offer. Then we get to the next scene, which does go down as one of their best skits on the show. Abbott reveals that they got a job at a department store because they need to pay the money for the windows he broke. But he, for some reason, feels like he needs to get a scalp treatment and thinks Costello's the man to do it. Well, there just happens to be someone on the radio, again played by Sid Fields, who's about to give instructions of how to do one. So Costello's about to do it. He needs to go get the scalp treatment cream or whatever it's called in the show. Abbott seems like he's taking a nap in the chair, but all of a sudden, the show abruptly changes from a instruction on how to for a scalp treatment to how to make this Christmas noodle dish to put in your Christmas turkey. So all of a sudden, for at least 5 to 10 minutes, it's just Costello putting all this wacky stuff on Abbott's hair, eggs, celery, onions. It's ridiculous. And then shoving his head in the turkey, putting him in the oven. Oh my gosh, it's just one of the funniest things. Costello is struggling not to laugh this whole time, and thankfully for Abbott, he's supposed to be playing like he's asleep for a majority of it. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure if he saw himself for a majority of that scene, he'd be cracking up too. Hilarious. Then we cut to them getting to work, moving some furniture and Christmas gifts into a home. Oh, guess whose home it is? Sid Fields. Him and his wife disagree on how much they need for Christmas, so this results in Abbott and Costello pushing the gifts back and forth from inside the house to out when the couple just disagrees constantly of who gets their way. Until finally they end up breaking apart. Abbott and Costello break apart for a cute little scene. Costello thinks this is the end of the world and they yuck it up very well at that point. Then the finale, we get to a lovely song sung by Costello, It's White Christmas. I wasn't expecting them to do as much, but it's actually pretty heartwarming to hear him sing for a majority of it. And then we have a lovely brawl at the end with the musicians and Costello nearly getting shot. I'm not going to reveal every little detail about this show, but it is just such an appropriate show with all the cliches from that era thrown in for one ridiculous Christmas-themed ride. There's no real criticism I can give for this. It's one of the closest things in my heart regarding Christmas shows and Abbott and Costello. Remember, this is the first time I've seen them, and I've fallen in love with them ever since. From nearly all of their movies, nearly all of their shows, they never fail to put a smile on my face. If you're looking for something different, try to at least find this in black and white, because I'm pretty sure that's easy to find out there. The color version is more of a gift for me after watching them do so much black and white movies. But you won't have a bad time. I don't recommend this in today's generation, but anyone who needs to reminiscence of the lovely era around the 50s, 40s, this is the Christmas show for you. That's really it. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm so glad I finally get to share it here. A must-watch for me every year. Have a great day, everybody. We might have time for one more today, depending on timing, but we'll see. Have a lovely day. Keep it real.